Most of us rely on a specific geometry to fall asleep. We pick a side, assume a fixed posture, and sleep facing a solid wall. For the person in our story tonight, this routine is constant. Every single night, they sleep on the left side of the bed, locked into the exact same orientation, with their back to the rest of the room. Looking at this vector schematic, we see why humans do this. The dashed line you see here represents how our brain maps the minimal distance between our body and the physical boundary of the wall. It creates a tightly defined, predictable safe zone. Our ability to completely shut down and feel secure in the dark relies entirely on this geographic predictability remaining unchanged until morning. But at 3 a.m., that predictability breaks. The sleeper wakes up abruptly. The room is completely silent, and visually everything appears normal. The conflict is entirely physical. Without moving from their original sleeping position, they realize they are no longer touching the wall. A new, distinct gap of empty space has opened up behind their shoulder. The immediate human reaction is to dismiss it. The mind protects itself by rationalizing sudden spatial errors as simple misperception. The sleeper assumes they simply drifted in their sleep, slowly shifts backward until their shoulder touches the wall again and closes their eyes. Terror thrives on the precise mathematical distortion of a familiar environment you thought you knew perfectly. This diagram illustrates what happens seconds later. The bed detaches from the wall and smoothly slides into the exact center of the bedroom. The sleeper is isolated. As the radius expands outward, it highlights a lack of protective boundaries. They are exposed on every side. When they try to sit up, their body refuses to respond. This is a state known clinically as atonia, a chemical mechanism of sleep paralysis where the mind is fully conscious, but the muscles are temporarily locked down. The situation worsens because of the severe physical contrast. The sleeper is pinned in place by their own heavy, unresponsive limbs, while the massive piece of furniture beneath them continues to glide freely across the floor. Stripping away the physical security of a wall while disabling the body's motor control creates a state of total defensiveness. The bed slides a second time, stopping near the far side of the room. Slowly, the fabric on the unused side begins sinking down. It mimics the exact physical profile of someone sitting down directly beside them. The quiet, empty perimeter of the bed, the negative space they rely on for comfort, is being deliberately pressed down by an intense, unseen weight. In total darkness, negative space functions as a vacuum, waiting to be claimed by whatever else is present in the room. Looking back at the room's geometry, the bed suddenly reverses direction, violently slamming the sleeper against the original wall. Pushing into a macro view, opposing pressure builds. The tiny gap between the sleeper's body and the wall rapidly shrinks. The sleeper feels a solid, freezing resistance occupying that shrinking sliver of space, pushing back from within the wall itself. A whisper comes from the plaster. "You moved. You gave me space." It is a calculated, brutal logic. Within the architecture of this nightmare, abandoning a spatial anchor forfeits ownership of the room to whatever was waiting in the dark. As quickly as the pressure peaks, it vanishes. The invisible vice grip releases, the mattress goes perfectly still, and the room returns to total, dead silence. The sleeper lies frozen in place for minutes before finally gathering the courage to look. The wall is entirely normal. There is no crack, no physical anomaly, just flat, undisturbed paint. A wave of relief sets in. They sit up in the dark, breathing out, actively categorizing the entire agonizing sequence as an intense, hallucinatory episode of sleep paralysis. By immediately applying a logical label to a terrifying event, the brain executes its final defense mechanism, attempting to reset the room's spatial safety parameters. But then they turn to check the other side of the mattress. The deep, heavy indentation from the unseen visitor is still pressed into the fabric. That physical impression suggests a failure in the hallucination theory. A chemical glitch in the brain cannot leave a localized gravitational dent in a physical mattress. The spatial manipulation actually occurred. Which brings us back to the exact way you will eventually go to sleep tonight. You will likely pick a side, assume a familiar position, and trust your bedroom's geometry. Any gap left between you and the wall is an open invitation for the dark to step in.